Okay, so we're at the week 4, but we've made some changes now. We are now going to chapter 8 and then going one by one, week by week till whatever. And if we want to, we can then go back and redo some of the chapters, the earlier chapters by itself. But I figure we kind of discussed chapter 7 last week, so we can just start with chapter 8 and then carry on. So, and I've had a very full week, full on. So I did not read it repeatedly. I didn't read it 30 times. I only read it 15 times. So I'm trying to get on top of the topics I want to talk about. And I did send you guys an email on some of the topics that were playing out in my mind. So how do you feel about discussing that? Or do you want to discuss what chapter 8 felt like to you overall? Because he's hanging out with Ladas. And there's a seance, and then there's a bar scene, and then there was the woman who I'm assuming was earthbound, but she had enough and wanted to be helped. 3 situations.
Which woman was that? In this chapter?
The woman.
Chapter 8, they're all chapter 8. Chapter 8.
I thought this really just the seance and the bar scene.
Oh, did I move past?
And the explanation in the beginning, about God and Jesus, and before they went into the seance.
Yeah, that was really beautiful, I thought.
Okay, before the seance? Was it before the seance?
Oh, before the seance is just like the tree of life and
yes. Okay, so maybe I'm
Jesus
confusing another chapter, another paragraph. Sorry. So how do you feel overall about chapter 8?
Mixed feelings.
Okay.
I feel I thought there were some really beautiful things at the start, and then I was quite disturbed by the bar scene. Just just how evil I guess some people are, and just how they're stuck in that cycle. But I thought there's really beautiful things like the prayer, the power of the mom's prayer, and things. So I thought there was some kind of mixed feelings, I guess.
Okay. The seance really freaked me out. As much as the bar scene was scary, the seance got me even more freaked out.
What freaked you out about that?
That because they can't see these two spirits that are influencing her. That when she was channeling that woman, that little girl, it wasn't even a real girl. They were just giving suggestions to her. Like it was like a hypnosis. So it wasn't even that she was channeling a girl. She was just playing a role. And that every time she engaged with them, their bond got stronger and stronger. They had more and more influence on her. That just is quite scary for me. The whole idea of not being able to see what the spirits are doing to us and how we, our addictions are getting more enamored.
Sorry, I found it more scary the being in that bar, or I don't know if it was a bordello. It's kind of hard to tell because, I mean, how many people go to the bars and have drinks? My kids, I've done it. Like, to think that there are that many dark spirits hanging around places, that kind of freaked me out. Trying to push you farther, maybe get you to drink enough so you might go sleep with that stranger, or all the things that happen in bars. And that kind of freaked me out because it's such a common part of our culture today.
Yeah, that's a good point. Not everyone go for seances and mediumship, but bar is such a common thing. And
that's right. Like, not too many people are exposing themselves to mediums. Everybody goes to the bar and whatever, and they go there for that purpose, to have a drink, to loosen up, to dance strangers, to pick somebody up, and the spirits around waiting for all those things to happen and encourage you. I find that, I don't like that.
No. So what's the feeling that come up there? for most of us around the bar. I think the bar scene is something we're all relating to. I mean, I don't go to bars, so I actually can't relate to it because I haven't done that. I only recently started to drink. Started drinking alcohol in my mid-30s, and I can only handle like 3 drinks a year. Like, so I'm just somewhat protected from it. And so, even though I really like that 1 glass of wine my birthday, which is something to think about there, but I don't relate to that. But let's talk about that. What is that? What does that do for you to realize that physical locations can have that much influence on people that shows up there?
It was pretty eye-opening for me.
Okay.
I have my mother encouraged me to go to bars
Oh,
and to drink and to meet strangers and to, like, by the time I was 15, 16. And I go out with my friends,
yeah.
and then I'd come home and I'd have to recount a play-by-play of what happened. That was very disturbing.
It's very disturbing. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, I can relate to it quite a bit. Like, not on the side that I was protected at all, because I wasn't.
No.
But to go to and be influenced, like, it was so encouraged in my life as a young adult. And then I can't even remember what age, but at some age it was then automatically, by some invisible rule that she made up, it was then deemed inappropriate.
Okay.
Right.
And now you're being shamed for it.
And now to be shamed for it, right? So that one I understood that one completely. The clairvoyant one really kind of, I really didn't understand what was happening with clairvoyance. So but yeah, it was my experience.
And I guess to add to that, and just kind of that whole thing, it's that we do live in that culture, and especially as you grow up and you go into high school and then for college or university for kids, right? That is the scene that, many people in their teens and 20s and, getting into sometimes 30s and even later, right? Like, it's, that's very much what society conditions us to do and to be, right? In many ways. So
Judith was going to say something, but
I was going to ask a question about, I mean, did you still go to bars? Jill.
Do I still go? No.
Even before you discovered divine truth?
Yeah. So later on, it was, I mean, I would go, but I would go with a different purpose. It wasn't there to drink and pick somebody up. It was to dance, to be honest. Like, I'd have some drinks, but it was, I went with friends to dance. Yeah. And then divine truth, and now I just don't drink. Yeah. But I very easily could have become, I probably was on my way to become an alcoholic before divine truth, because in Vancouver, house parties are probably more important than bars.
Yeah.
And and there, been to my fair share of house parties, and
So it sounds as if we are, from the get-go, being encouraged to let ourselves be influenced by spirits, because we're being encouraged to be in a situation in which we are also then being told to be kind of not discerning, to keep ourselves open, like we're being conditioned to open ourselves.
To let ourselves go. Let ourselves go, If you just,
So what are some of the addictions driving that? If you can look back at yourself, what are the addictions driving a teenager to want to go to a bar?
For me, it was addiction to avoid feeling my hurt, my pain.
But what
Like,
were you looking for?
even before it was like, even before I was allowed into a bar, there was still a culture in our school of drinking as teenagers on the weekend, and
What are you looking for? I know you've analyzed enough to go, I know what I'm avoiding. Can you remember back what you were looking for?
I wanted connection. I didn't really have a family connection. My dad was at work, so it was just kind of me at home by myself. So that gave me a sense of
Community.
belonging and community. Yeah.
Which is what we started our topic to.
Yeah.
And how holistic it is. And it's like, we're probably still doing the same thing. Probably, hopefully not, but we're evolving there. So you were looking to belong. You were looking to feel like you had a family. Okay. What else would be driving our addictions to go to bars?
If I could say, I was also going to bars at 15, and they were gay bars, and my mother did not know I was going, of course. And there was a big men's club, but I would drink there.
Yeah.
And it was like kind of like a lack of responsibility. You don't have a care in the world, and you can talk to people easier if you're awkward about, you're afraid to talk to people. And then if you're intoxicated or buzzed, you talk to them much easier, and they're intoxicated too. And
so you're looking for confidence. You want to feel confident. You want to feel cool. You want
I fit in,
fit in. Okay.
Something that kids my age weren't doing. The kids in my school weren't going to clubs. I was able to get into this.
What does that give you? I get to do something that others don't. So
Yeah,
important. Okay. Important, superior. Yeah. Okay.
By doing something bad, by the way.
Yeah. What else? What will impress another 15-year-old? Nowadays you may say, I spent the weekend at the animal shelter, and oh, you're so cool.
Yeah.
Nowadays time. I did recycling. Okay, now you're cool. The culture has changed. So, okay, what about others?
May I ask for Judith, could it have also been there was a point in the gay movement in coming out where it was not safe to talk to people in public.
Right.
Go to places where there were other gay people, and the bars played a role for that, where you could be yourself.
Yeah, and I couldn't, and it was like the best time of my life, I could even say, because it was like the first environment where I could actually, even though at the time I didn't really come out until I was 18. I was 15, and then I would go all out when I was 17, and I still wasn't admitting it, but it was like an environment where everyone was the same, and we could all be ourselves. Okay. But then there was also a heavy amount of alcohol involved, and also other drugs, poppers back then, things like that.
So a 15-year-old gay girl is hiding, and then go to a bar, just have some alcohol, and now so you feel like you're able to overcome the fear that's keeping you in hiding?
Yeah, that's keeping me in hiding just from being myself, not even expressing that. I felt so out of sorts as a teenager, like I didn't fit in, But it was a men's club too, so there was more men there. There was very few women. And if there were women there, they're mostly straight women that were with their gay friends.
But gay women will feel very safe with men, because you may be experiencing sexual projection, but you don't feel like you need their approval.
No, I don't. And believe it or not, men would still come on to me at stuff at times. So there would always be one or two in the club for every so often that would, approach me.
But there's no pressure in having to measure up or in having to be found attractive, and the pain of being rejected, and there's so many things you don't have to feel about. Yeah. I had somebody in a mediumship group last week. She said, "You're getting all soft and feminine, Mila. Maybe you're lesbian." And I go, it'd be gratifying, because then I don't have to deal with men issues. I was like, I don't have to live with one. Like, sure, I would love that. That would be the easy way out for me. And that was my response. So I'm thinking, okay, holy smokes, that is stuff I really don't want to look at. oh, it feels like too much issues to work through, and yeah. So it was kind of funny. So I'm now really curious. By the time I get to the fifth sphere, I'm sure I'll find out which way, who my soulmate is, and what gender that person is, and then I'll solve the mystery. So,
Well, frankly, don't know at this point either. So,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, just keep at it. Okay, what other addictions drive people to go to bar?
I was actually at a club at the start of the year, and just as an observer more so, but there was a lot of sexual projection going on, and it was like, whoa, did I used to do this? Is this what the environment that I used to put myself in? Because I don't remember seeing it back then at all. And here it was just like there was just so many men sexually projecting, and it was like, oh, yuck. So it's really not nice at all.
It has to have been happening back then too.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
But I just was oblivious to it. I was just having a good time, you know.
Yeah.
I think I always generally reject it.
Would it be fair to say, with people's observations, that there's potential different levels of this? Because there's definitely some bars that you go to where, you know, the intention could be pretty dark, you know, generally.
Yeah.
But then but you go to a restaurant, right? Or you go out, you know, with a group of friends and you have a good time, and, you know, there's, you know, good food or whatever that is that you're doing. Is it, and I don't know if I've ever heard this in any of the teachings or the conversations about, like, is there different levels, or is it just something that you know, if you combine alcohol and put it in a situation, it's just not good.
You're arguing for addictions.
Maybe I am. Yes. I want to go to a nice restaurant, but yeah.
Or have a nice bottle of wine.
And have a nice bottle of wine, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. I'm just curious around that. I'm assuming that there would be layers of this, you know, because, you know, there definitely are some places that you go where, you know, there's lots of sexual projection, or there's lots of, you know, it's a certain vibe that you get from that. And then you go to other places where it just seems to be it's more conversational, or it's more, you know, you meet your friends for lunch or whatever it is, you know. So I don't know. I'm putting it out there, but
I'd say definitely yes, because I've heard of a club in Berlin where it's a 24-hour club.
Wow.
And when my friend was visiting there a few years ago, she said that there was a person had died at the club, and people were having sex with the body, like,
oh my God.
yeah, and the body was there for like 3 days before. I don't know. I don't know if that sounds just way out there, but oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say that the level of love in that place is probably not so good.
Huh.
Especially if that's 24 hours that it's open. And so, yeah, I think there's a different intention, isn't it? If you're going out to a restaurant for a meal and then you just happen to have some alcohol. Whereas if you go to a bar specifically to drink alcohol, the intention is to avoid emotions, or you want some addiction met. And because you can kind of feel it, can't you? When you go into some bars, they just have a really icky feeling to them compared to other ones. So yeah, it could be to do with spirits. Maybe they've got more of a spirit influence. Yeah.
Okay, so about that bar scene and about the prayer, I'm really interested about the prayer itself, and why did it work, and how can we get to that level of being able to have that kind of prayer? So Karen, do you want to pull that up?
Yeah, sure. Sorry.
Is this the prayer that the mum had for the son?
Yeah, page 89 onward. Page 91. Fortunately, the mother's greatest practical trust. Yeah, right there. Okay. true prayer, complete confidence that God can and will do that which is absolutely beyond ourselves, if we only faithfully seek it, has a long and powerful arm. What's that like for you? Like, does that, I mean, in a way, I don't know if I want to say it rings true for me. It's more like I wish for that to be true. I would like to that is available, because I'm kind of like seeking protection. It's like, oh, there's safety, there's protection. I would like that. What comes up for you guys when you see that statement?
I was really, that gave me a lot of hope that he would get that much protection for something that I would have considered minor.
Ah, yeah.
Right. And that's what kind of, he'd just go in the bar and the guy's going to try and convince him to have a drink. And that would have been the end of it. To me, that's pretty minor, but
it's a big deal.
But he had like 2 people with him to protect him, to help him, because he was a boy and his mother must have had some issues around him going there.
Correctly, as it turns out, because it's that first step, is that first slip. That's a lot of conversation here about the other boy. It was that first step, like they'll set you up to take the first slip, and then once you've taken that one step, down you go. And then you know how that spirit cloaked him, and the next thing you know, he's asking for, what was it, straight up whiskey or something like that?
Yeah, very quick from, just a little something to, yeah.
So
like, did the mother allow that because he wanted to go on some kind of adventure and the father wasn't present or passed or something to take him?
The father's passed.
Yeah, that's kind of how it sounded, but I couldn't really tell.
Yeah, the father's passed and had said that for him to get his inheritance, he had to obey the mother until he became of age, and he's just become of age, and he's desperate to get away from the like, we'll go and see London, and she's trying to maintain the father's wishes and keep him safe and keep her own wishes.
That's what I thought, but I wasn't really sure if him getting his, because sometimes kids would get an inheritance simply because in those days, because they came of age, they would start to get their own allowance sort of thing, and their own, you wouldn't necessarily have to pass to get
it says
it's on page 88.
I'll pull it up maybe.
Yeah, a few times couldn't find anything where, I don't know that it really is relevant, but it kind of would maybe
because it says bequeathed is
okay,
it says younger just reached his majority, that means his age, and freedom from his father's condition that he was to be given implicit obedience to his mother till such a time will lose the comfortable heritage bequeathed.
Yeah.
So that
freedom
the word
from
bequeathed
would be freedom from his father's illness, or you think?
I took it like freedom from it, like, so freedom from, it's kind of, I feel like the punctuation's not good in this sentence. It's like, because I had trouble with it at first as well, and I was like,
really
freedom from, like, the father's condition is that he's to give implicit obedience to his mother.
Yeah.
That's the father's condition.
Or that he was a bad father. That's why he couldn't go with him, or I couldn't quite, which would kind of change how the mother feels about her son doing this, maybe. I guess that's what I was trying to do, is feel how the mother was feeling. And so that kind of brought into question, where was the dad in all this picture, you know?
Yeah, I think he wasn't, because then it says, like in this bit, in, sorry, I've got the highlighter. In thus controlling a lad of impulsive spirit, the maternal task had been no sinecure, so it means she'd had a hard time trying to do that by herself.
But then these are all church-going people. So, but for her going to church is sincere. Like she actually is believing in God and is sincerely praying. And so she sincerely asked for extra protection.
And it was a church guy that took him, his chaperone, so she was hoping and praying, but she still must have felt some desire to protect him, even so, her son.
Yeah.
So to clarify, are you saying that the prayer that she did was to protect the boy in the bar?
Or from any temptation.
Okay.
Yeah. Anything that happened to him in London.
Well, she didn't know he was going to a bar.
Well, she trusted not to do anything like that, because the boy was even going like, "What are we doing here?" You know?
Yeah.
And,
Right.
And so if I before that, I got the impression that he wasn't too rapt about having to be under the mum's, you know, control, and he would have preferred to just be able to go and live life and explore on his own, and he wanted to explore London. He mentioned,
but he didn't trust who his mom picked. He had a feeling that wasn't the right person for him either.
Yeah. So his mum obviously must have intuited that, and like, because he must have a desire to be with other people, you know, if that's not the right person for him, or, you know, probably looking for his soulmate.
So there seemed to be some curiosity for you guys, as in, why did the mom set up a prayer? Because I'm going, well, I pray a lot for my kids, so I'm just going, why wouldn't you pray? If you know you can pray for your kids, like the prayers coming out of me towards my kids all the time, especially when there are a lot of spirit attacks going, when I'm working through some addictions and then there's more blackmail coming from them. I will usually ask, can my kids get extra protection from the spirit attacks right now? Can they please get some sleep and not be bothered by spirits? And, you know, like, so.
You know, like, there's a really key part in this where like the bit that says, I might just bring it up, but it says the mother would save her son against himself, so she would do it herself, but not being near at hand, she had left him with the God she loved and served. And that's what I think is one of the key things why the prayer works.
Okay.
Like, she would do it herself if she could, but because she couldn't, she has such faith in God and prays to God, and God will do it. And so I feel like if any of us are praying for, if anyone's praying for their kids about something, then it's important to look at, have you done everything you can possibly do? Could you do that yourself before you ask God to do something that
that's a really good
you could
point.
do?
Right. So if
and this bit that absolutely beyond, and God can and will do that which is absolutely beyond ourselves, if only we faithfully seek it. I feel that's a key.
That's the key
reason why it works.
But I like what you brought up there, Karen, because if, let's say, I'm still in an addiction of a certain type, which then attracts certain type of dark spirits, or I'm projecting rage and hurt at my own children, and then I pray about it, like I'm praying God to protect them from the very thing I'm doing, but I don't want to stop, then how far is that going to go? That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. So what is the feeling she has that prayer worked for her? You feel like, what is that? Why did that prayer? I know we can just read the sentence, but I'm trying to get into the feeling about it. Like she prayed that God will come true for her. God can and will do that, which is absolutely beyond ourselves if we only faithfully seek it. Like, this is basically saying we basically got some kind of a very powerful resource if we know how to tap into it. And we can pray not just for our kids, but for anybody. So
her prayer was a legitimate prayer. It was a prayer that God could answer.
Yes.
But sometimes we pray for things that God or our guides can't do.
Okay. But
So
in
that's
this
one thing.
case, like she asks for him to be protected from himself, or in this case, he was going to be just fine himself because he didn't want to be there. He wasn't interested in alcohol. But to be protected from other spirits that would have probably attempted to cloak him. So that was also protected. Like he got protected from that, and he was given like really, really. I'm looking at like after I was saying that this spirit guides were higher than even Omra in terms of their love and condition. So like, what? How? Show what's the code word here? So I'm kind of like a little desperate going, tell me. I really want to learn. So there's a conversation about faith. She has faith that God will come true for her. Complete confidence that God can and will do that, which is absolutely beyond ourselves. So how do we know what we do have faith in, and how do we grow that? Because then we can pray not just for ourselves, but for others. Like, how much good can we do here?
Sorry, I just have a question. How does that then affect on your free will?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she had the prayer for him, and he had the celestial spirits protecting him. But what if he chose to drink anyways?
I think he could have, couldn't he?
I guess he could have still done that.
But in this condition, he didn't want to, and he got protected from being tempted.
And I feel like it's the how you're more easily influenced by spirits when you're in a location which they're around. So she's prayed that her intention was never for him to be in that type of location. And I feel there's an extra element where she's assigned the guardian, like the person to accompany him, and he's taken him there. So she's entrusted him to somebody who, if she hadn't entrusted him, then he probably never would have went there.
No, he would have never went there.
Okay.
But if his free will was that he actually really wanted to drink and he was going to go to a bar regardless of who was around, then maybe the prayer
Wouldn't have worked. Michael.
Yeah.
I think the prayer worked because the mother, in the paragraph after Fred tells about the two angels that were on either side of him, I get the feeling that the mother knew that God was her parent and that was looking after her. And as God is also the boy's parent, that she could pass on the responsibility to God, since she couldn't be there, to really know what was going on.
Okay. So just like, was it Karen somebody who said that, Kevin, was it, that, she accepts the responsibility that it's her job and she should do it. And if she can't, then she asks for help to hand it over. So, okay, so there's this feeling of, wow, okay, now I can get the opening into the faith then. So she has this faith and this, I guess, obedience. So she has obedience that God is my parent and I am willing to be in harmony with God and his laws. It's probably what it is then. So that puts her in the grace of protection because she's in obedience, versus all the other earthbound spirit, and most of us are still in rebellion. Maybe that's where it is. Yeah. In that one issue, she is in obedience and in harmony in accepting God's authority, because God is my parent. So maybe that's what that is.
But then on the other hand, there's the controlling part, which kind of doesn't.
I like that. I like that. Now I understand what you've been getting to, Laura. Okay. So you feel like she's controlling him from having a good time?
Well, no, not necessarily. It seems like 1 minute, from his perspective, he feels that she's controlling.
Yes.
But obviously, for her prayer to come true, there must be an element of sincerity and desire to love her child.
Yes. How does that work?
Yeah.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, the question is really, it's just a general question in some ways, like what's the difference between a parent who may be over coddling or over controlling a child versus a parent who, in this case, is connected to, God, but is, I don't know. Yeah, it is that mix. What's that difference? Is there something where each human being has the ability, obviously each human being has the ability to have that direct connection with God,
Yeah.
and how much do we need to have that influence of another trying to protect us? In some ways, that's kind of, I don't know, that's taking it down another angle, but I think I'm trying to kind of relate to what Laura was saying.
Well, what's happening though here is that we have a lot of earthbound spirits influencing us and kind of violating our free will.
Yeah.
Influence is not like setting you as Karen. Somebody brought it up that we're being influenced. That's not our free will. So it seems practical that we should be able to ask for assistance for being able to confront the Karen, then Michael. Karen, go ahead.
I was just going to say, could it be similar, like how Jesus has spoken about how the emotional condition of the parents places a protection around the child, and the emotional injuries of the parents create holes that the spirits can then influence the child through. And so given that the mother has this strong faith and strong desire to protect the child, that could be another reason why this prayer works so specifically, to stop the influence from the earthbound spirits.
Because it's the governance thing, right? The parent is responsible for the physical birth of this child. So there's a governance and responsibility. And so, because I remember that conversation, the governance of, the parent. And so therefore, for example, we may have ancestors that are desperately always praying for our well-being because, they are somehow responsible for us being in this condition and us being in our injuries. And now that they're repenting and healing, we wouldn't know. We have some grandfathers, great-grandmothers who are praying for assistance for us, and somehow we will bump into divine truth or something because that is the prayer being answered. So we could be benefiting from that anyway, and it's kind of nice to know that that's possible. Michael?
Now, the mother prayed for the child to be protected and preserved from temptation. So she did not want anything to happen that would lead to his downfall. And one of us mentioned, what if he had the will to drink? And it got me thinking something I hadn't thought before. I still do drink wine, and I'm thinking of the motive of it. And if you go on a roller coaster, there's a thrill or an exhilaration. And what if and there's a similar feeling with wine, but if you go too far, your inhibitions and your judgment is affected. And so perhaps it's possible to drink without the motive of losing control of yourself and handing over too much responsibility, so that instead of treading, so that it becomes easier to pass the line into a sin, into an unloving behavior.
Right. It still is good to kind of ask yourself someday, going, what is my motivation for drinking wine? Not that I'm going to stop. I just want to know what it is. Just so you can go, okay, fine, I'm looking for that feeling when I drink one glass of wine. Okay, fine. I'm going to keep doing it. It's okay to kind of ask that. I still like my cup of chai. It's decaf, but I still like it. So I'm going, there's something, there's something else going on with me and my cup of chai. And but I'm still going to drink it. So it'd be curious. But then, the motivation definitely, because if you think about bars and how many times we go there I just want to let it go, and I just want to take a break, and I just want to have fun. And that is the motivation. So you're right. It does make a difference.
Same with any substance, like even using chocolate, to Yeah. And I was in this space the other day, and I was on a rampage to just put as many things in my body as possible. Just wanted to eat stuff, and there just happened to be some in the fridge, and then I realized, I was like, oh no, like this is a massive avoidance of emotion here.
I have had a strong addiction for chocolates, and then my asthma kept ramping up, and at some point they're like, asthmatics, they just have a thing for chocolate. They will go for chocolate and it'll always make them sick. And I go, what? I'm gonna have to give this up now.
Even dairy-free chocolate.
So I gave it up, and now I don't want it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, like when you're going, I'm just having this substance, but there must be an okay, allowed version, and then it goes past. But if it's coming from an addiction, when you confront it, you don't want it anymore. It's done. So
we do it with all kinds of foods, hey, like carbs, and at the moment I'm battling with a salt addiction, apparently. I'm so addicted to salt, and I'm supposed to be starting this whole thing without salt. And oh my God, I just in a rage about how much I want to eat salt.
Okay. Well, if there's rage, then there's something. But there is a physiological thing that happens in the body where too little salt actually is damaging. You're actually looking for some kind of a equilibrium. So just kind of play around with that. But if you're feeling rage about it, then something else is going on.
Yeah, there's something there.
Give me my salt.
Salt! Nothing tastes good without it.
So
what I found for me, like I don't drink, it doesn't make me feel good, it really doesn't. But I really want to when I'm around people that are in facade with me. Like I'm so uncomfortable, and I'm congenial and pleasant to them because whatever the situation, but they're in facade with me. And when I'm with people in that position, I want to drink. I want to numb myself. Maybe it's a spirit influence.
Yeah.
Okay. And when I realize that, then I realize that I just need to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Although it doesn't happen very much anymore.
Can I make a remark about that? It just occurred. I mean, do you feel like it's triggering that you might be in a facade? Like when you see, because I've noticed.
Oh, I'm probably in facade because they're like, these are people out me in a very egregious way. So I'm probably in facade with them, need to be in facade with them as well, because I'm trying not to show how uncomfortable I am. And I don't know why I'm so uncomfortable with that individual. So the alcohol helps me get through it.
Yeah. So if you're with somebody in facades, then you also, and you need to put up with it, and you also got to be in a facade.
Yeah. I mean, to everyone else's perspective, they are being friendly and nice and kind and doing all of the correct things, but I can feel the facade and I don't really understand it completely. This is before divine truth. But that's when even now when I recognize if I really want to drink when I'm around a certain person, I know that there is some facade on either part. There's a line or both.
What's the addiction driving that though? That you still want to engage with this person? There's an addiction driving that.
To engage with the person?
Oh, didn't want to engage with that person. But
you're still there.
But I'm still there. Yeah, because the repercussions of that would have been more uncomfortable than putting up with the person.
There you go. So that you can identify the addiction driving that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. The addictions of fear, and yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. So back to the prayer. That was fate. That this person, when you're not. So what I'm getting is that, okay, you have to not be rebellious about certain issue where you're going, okay, I accept God's authority in this topic, and I'm going to do what I can about it. And the areas in which I can't, I'm going to have to ask for help, is what I'm getting right now. And that I feel like whether or not God can fulfill the prayer, pray anyway. God will say yes or no.
I feel part of the prayer is the faith that he will answer it.
Yes.
She has faith that he will.
He will come through.
That's a strong part of
Maybe
it.
this is where we're damaged, aren't we? This is where our injuries are. Like, do you feel that God will come through?
I know for me, I know for me, it's without having in my life, I never really had a faith-based upbringing.
Right.
So I feel that, the hardest, most difficult traits for me to develop have been faith and humility. And I feel that, when for people that I've seen that have kind of, that come from, a faith-based or a religious-based upbringing, there tends to be something that I don't know, it's just an observation, but I feel that they have a deeper connection that they've developed over the years. So when I listen to what this woman is talking about her prayer process, it's almost like to me that she comes from that faith background, which she does, but she's had that ability to just really practice that and experience that all of her life. And so it's a muscle that you build, right? That's what it is.
That can be developed and has to be developed.
Yeah.
But we must have, so here's the fun thing that I like to do. I like to then ask, okay, God, what positive faith do I have? Show me some of the faith that I do have that I could activate and pray from. I have some corrupt faith, which is, there are lots of corrupt faith that I have about God. That God isn't interested in me, that God isn't paying attention to us right now. There are all kind of people doing all kind of things. Everyone's getting away with stuff. Nobody's watching. That's one of my corrupt faith. But I must have some positive faith. And I do have faith that God does come through for you, even if you don't see it right away. Even if you don't experience it right away. My sentence is, God will come through for you eventually. It's probably not eventually, it's probably immediately, but that's something I have faith in. So you could probably ask, like, God, please show me, or my guides, please show me what positive faith I do have in God, in life, in the universe, something. And then start to ask, what kind of prayer can I make about this? So it could be a fun thing to check out for yourself. Mm-hmm. And then maybe start to explore, if I could just, for me, it's like it's a yes or a no. So I can just pray about just about anyone on any issue that I care about emotionally. And then it's either a yes or a no. I got nothing to lose. Mm-hmm. That's how I feel about it. It could be fun. What are some of your ideas? What would you like to explore around that?
Do you find it easier to pray for someone else than opposed to yourself?
Yes, all the time. So it's an issue.
In your law of attraction, do you come across people that you kind of find are, oh my God, that person is just like me, but they're going through a troubled time or something?
Right. Well, right now I'm working with refugees, so they're in terrible condition. So they're doing much, much worse than me, obviously. What kind of prayers do you guys want to try doing? What kind of prayers could we say right now that we could start practicing for ourselves or others? Let's come up with some. What do you guys think? Karen, do you have some prayers that you're already saying? You're good with prayers. I'd like to borrow some more.
I don't know if I'm good with them. I often pray for people, just random people or things, but I just, my prayer is just for God to help them, just for them to have more love and help available for them.
Okay.
I have no idea what works or not.
Yeah.
But I often pray that for people. And then I often pray for myself to to try and understand things, or areas where I'm stuck or things like that. I realized I didn't really pray. It was only yesterday, I think, I kind of realized I pray for other people to receive more love and help, but I don't pray for myself to get that. So I kind of just become aware of that yesterday. But I feel, there's a lot of prayers you could probably, and I feel it's important to write down when things, like when I've prayed for something and I've got an answer or something's happened, I can forget about it or skip over it sometimes, like in 6 months. So I'm trying to write it down because I feel that builds faith.
Builds
faith. Oh, look, remember that one.
In the prayer talk Jesus did, he says that when you pray, you open your soul. And then stuff can come in now. Truth and love and assistance can enter your soul because your prayer is an act of you opening your soul. And it doesn't even have to be towards God. Like in the prayer talk, he talks about Dandy. And Dandy, what Dandy was upset about, like, what about my friend? He's left behind. I was supposed to take care of him. He should have died and not me. And those were prayers. So I had to go back and read that again and again because I'm reading a transcript of that lecture, and it's like, those were prayers, and God stepped in and answered it. It's like, what? So I'm trying to like scientifically study that lecture.
And again, I think it's the same principle that he would do it himself. If he could do it, he would. But now he's in a position where he can't, and so then God is doing it.
Oh, there is something here. Okay, so because it's like God will help those who will help themselves. Like you gotta be willing to do something. That's what's also in the lecture, that if you're not willing to do it.
That's pretty hypocritical. Like if you pray for someone to come and do your dishes and you're not willing to do your dishes yourself.
So here's a question going down that same path, like not the dishes path, but the but you know, this idea that if we're not supposed to fear death or fear harm to ourselves, like, you know,
no, you release it. I mean, the fear is already there. You're supposed to release it, and then there'll be no fear left. Don't pretend you don't have it.
No. But I'm saying that if in our true condition, or you know, are connected to our real self, we're not supposed to fear death, or we're not supposed to fear harm to ourselves, then why would we do a prayer to try to protect ourselves from harm, like in that bar, for example? Like, why would there be a need to do a prayer for something like that?
No, there's a big misunderstanding there, Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah, because there is the self-love piece where you are the self-love where you love yourself as much as you love another.
Okay.
Why would you want to have harm come to you? Like, what would you want to act or allow people to harm you? You're not supposed to allow people to harm you. If you can't stop it lovingly, then you got to now endure and process your emotions about it. But you're not supposed to allow it, because then somebody else is just getting darker.
Yeah, I'm trying to clarify that or understand it from a couple of perspectives. Because one I think about responsibility is that, you know, you want to have responsibility for your own self. And so sometimes when we kind of give up too much, we open up to be attacked. But for some reason, I think I had heard it at some stage where Jesus talked about, you know, about not having that fear of death, let's say.
Yeah, but it's different from seeking it or allowing it.
Yeah.
You can plan it and you can do a lot of good, and God never meant for our bodies to die. So if let's say you're standing for truth, and you got to stand for truth, and you got to do what you got to do, even though you may die. That's a different position than, you know, you walk in the middle of 401 going, oh well, I don't fear that. Sorry, that's a big high one.
Because like, even if you're at one with God, which Jesus was at the time when he
was killed.
He was killed in the 1st century. And that was because of other people's desire and choices, not his own. But he, like he said, he could have prevented it. But I can't remember why.
He had to prove life after death and prove a point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that,
I do remember him saying that he could have prevented it, or he could have ran away, could have
Yeah.
gotten out of it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But he chose to be there to accept it, so that
Yeah.
the proof would be there for the afterlife.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was caught in the law of attraction of his other disciples or others around him, that their fears, things like that. So, yeah.
Michael, do you know?
Well, it reminds me of, remember the talk where he says we don't appreciate gifts?
Yes.
And I know he said that the spirits were warning, his spirit friends were warning him that they were going to come and arrest him, but he chose to face it and deal with it. I'm having a sense that he was feeling the law that when a gift is not appreciated, it is taken away. So he allowed the great gift of the presence of
Oh,
immortality to be removed, and then all of the repercussions to fall upon mankind.
ouch. That went straight to my heart. Ooh, okay. Okay. I hope they will address this in their discussion, because this is like a whole lot of conversations going on here. But that sure got me emotional. Ooh, okay. I've been thinking a lot lately, like if Jesus had lived on, what would Earth have been like now? By now? Because quite a few more people will have become at one with God, and becoming at one with God will have become kind of a thing. And I don't, yeah, those kind of feelings been coming up lately. So
Imagine what it's going to be like when, like,
yeah,
the more we progress. And
go ahead, Michael.
When you ask the question, what kind of prayers could we pray for ourselves or others?
Yeah.
The one that felt good to me was kind of like, how could I be more sensitive to what the mother was feeling? And so I came up, so for me, it would be to feel how much God loves and cares for me and
Yes.
wishes to save me from temptation and from my downfall.
Hold on. Can you say, I really like that prayer. Okay, say that again. For God to make me sensitive.
To feel how much God loves and cares for me.
Okay. Oh, I want that. God loves and cares for me.
And wishes to save me from temptation and my downfall.
Thank you. Okay.
And I think if I had that feeling, I would also feel that way towards other people and not want to lead them into sin and temptation.
Or to wish them to be exploited by others to go down there either.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like this prayer. Yes, that is actually a prayer. Because that's basically what I've been deciding. Like, I want to see this God, like I want to feel about God the way a lot of us feels about God. And now I'm going, oh, that's a prayer. That is a prayer, because that's a desire. That's me going, I would like to, can I have that, please? But somehow I have this expectation that that's going to happen.
I wonder how God feels about God.
Good question to ask, eh? I think we asked that once in mediumship, so I don't remember what happened. But okay, what other prayers do you guys want to ask for yourself?
I don't know how this would, but I'm really interested in you're talking about praying for your children. So how do you pray for your children? Because you can't interfere with their will. But I certainly, when I'm feeling through an injury I created in them, or in anyone, not just, but you really know with your children because you see how you did it and you see it, how it manifested in their adult life. And so a prayer, I don't know, you start to really feel the injury and how that's manifesting in their life. So a prayer for them to be protected from spirits.
Yes, I think that's a fair prayer.
Is that kind of
I
sound?
think that's a fair prayer.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm like. When I feel how bad they're injured, I can only just imagine the spirits around them that are.
But also maybe like prayer to heal the cause of it inside of you that contributed to that would probably be the ultimate gift you could give them.
Yeah.
To be the example of what you could be like without it, I suppose.
Well, in the forgiveness and repentance talk, Jesus did say you can actually pray for God to remove the injury from them.
Oh, wow.
You have caused. you can actually pray. So when I'm feeling the repentance and I can really feel the pain I've done, I will pray, please remove it from them. Can I have it back, please, is one of the prayer. That's another prayer I like to do. My son was really having some tough emotion around money and corporate, and he's ready to quit his job and all of that yesterday. And I was very uncomfortable with his anger. I don't want to be around. I don't want to feel it. I don't want to support him with it. And then I was already feeling about money from some other law of attraction event. And then I dropped in. But at some point I did pray, God, if that's from me, can I have it back? I basically said, can I have that back, please? That's probably mine, with no conscious connection. And by nighttime, I was in absolute rage at my family's greed that caused all of my injuries. And I go, oh my God, that's what my son was feeling. It's back in me. It is 100% mine. So, and today he's feeling pretty calm, like pretty at peace. He's still going to probably leave the job because he's ready to engage his passion, but he's not tormented. So that was mine that he's been tormented by. So that's a prayer too that parents can do. Can I have that back, please? That thing I'm seeing in my kids is probably mine. Can I have it back? So
we can't give it back as a child to our parents, can we? Can you give this back to my parents, please?
That's what forgiveness is. Forgiveness is activated. It does return in there. Yeah. But you, Laura, you want to take a mud pie and go,
yeah, take it back.
That's part of the anger you got to work through, so that's probably part of forgiveness.
I'm going through some things right now with my wife, and I find that there's just these. I do come against this major resistance and these walls that I'm really trying to break down, and I don't know fully how to do it, and so I've been really just doing the practice of what he talks about just really just calling in my guides. You know, I think before I was trying to like reach for, you know, what's the emotion that's driving this, or what's the causal emotion, whatever it is, and found that I was really, that it's just been something that's just been constantly there. And every time I feel this feeling in my chest, and I've got like, I don't know, just things that go in my neck and shoulders and things like that, just pains. And I'm at the early stages of this in some ways, but I'm trying to really just connect with my guides every day and just take that walk and take that connection and say, what is it that I need to know about this? And that helps for not only for myself to find healing, but to do it in a way that, you know, that's, you know, that makes both of our connection with each other better.
Okay. Okay. So did you?
I probably have lots of addiction and other stuff, but help me, Spock, as they say.
Okay. So I would start with how angry you are with her. It's okay. You are angry. And that when you're opening up your anger, you're going to go, and when I let myself feel my anger, I'm probably just making a list of addictions, aren't I? Because you want to go, but I'm right to be angry. But this one is, I'm owed this one. I should be able, she did wrong me. And so you may want to start with how angry you are. And then go, okay, fine. What are the addictions I just named out loud here? Because those are my demands. And then you just said at the end, to help our connection, what was the word? To help our connection get better? Was that the sentence?
Yeah, it's to help us be more aligned in our connection. It's
So right there is also, to me, an addiction.
Yeah. Right. It's that need for her to like me.
Okay.
Or,
there you go.
Yeah. So it's not having to be attached to that need, right? Yeah.
Well, you're gonna have to first accept that you have the.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to talk about that here.
Sorry. Let's get back to the book, and
but I did start the addiction series on Sunday.
Yeah. I wasn't able to come to that one because I had another Zoom call.
Yeah, no worries.
Sunday, but I would love to join you.
Go into the recording. Listen to the recording.
Yeah.
And then at some point we're going to start going into like, so how do you go into the addiction itself?
Yeah.
So, but then, and also if you go to 2014, the Sisters group, the one is one that Mary talked about challenging addiction is really good.
Awesome. Yeah. Sounds good. Do
definitely where you want to go.
you want to talk about the seance part about the chapter?
Okay. I will have to stop sharp at, 5:30 or my time, 5:30, like in 10, 15 minutes, because I have to be on another Zoom call. Okay. Well, I was hoping that you will all continue thinking about prayers that you can explore, that you can say, and start practicing experimenting with prayers and discovering your faith that you really have. So seance, what do you want to talk about that?
For me, it was, yes, it was just some like the comment about the spirits that you couldn't see.
Right.
I just really, I don't know, it's just really interesting, because I feel that there's a lot of that around me, right? I feel that in so many ways. So it's that's the starting point anyway.
Okay. What about others?
Yeah, for me, it really brought up, I really remembered a feeling that I had when I was a teenager, preteen, playing with a Ouija board. And I felt the same, because it actually was doing stuff. It was like,
wow.
Yeah, I remember it. And it feels the same, like that kind of icky sort of,
Okay.
I'm surprised the people there, could just be in that atmosphere.
Right, that's described in the book.
And I think that's being entertained by, it's just creepy.
Well, he does talk about that people were actually getting what they desired in that seance. There was a sense.
The quality of the aura representing its true spiritual tone may be described as a compound of curiosity, amusement, and doubt.
Yes.
There was no sign of aspiration or spiritual desire from beginning to end of the performance.
Perfect. That was it.
And also to her desire, or it's the reason she did it was because it was a means of gaining a lucrative livelihood. So it was financial rather than for a spiritual benefit. And so that's the spirits that were attracted to that as more of an amusement rather than for any kind of progressive benefit.
But sometimes we are in facades in why we think we want to do mediumship work, and then you can end up attracting dark spirits, not realizing it. Like when you're in denial, when I'm in denial of my addiction for power, for control, for authority, then those addictions are being exploited by spirits as well. So that is also a big thing.
And self-aggrandizement, like wanting to be seen as something, or
definitely. Mediumship is cool. You have cool abilities. And what else did that bring up for you guys? What fears did it bring up? One is we can't see them. Judith? Oh, can't hear you.
Sorry, okay. That there are spirits around us all the time. Regardless of their condition, they can always read us.
Oh, what does that do for you?
Well, it's like, that was the part that he was cautioning people by.
Right.
The story, it's like, they can read you and manipulate you, and they can either be loving to you or they can be quite cruel and deceptive and mischievous. And
just because they have information about you, because that's one way mediums, impress you with information they have about you, when actually that's really not that big a deal. If somebody knew what you did when you were 5 years old, or when you were
it was interesting that he... sorry, you go, Judith.
I'm sorry. Afar said that like it's okay for him to read people because they're doing it as a means to get to know them, but it's not good for someone to do it as a means to deceive them. And that's what this was going on. So.
Yeah, I felt like it was almost saying that's the natural state. That's how it's supposed to happen, that you can read and see everything.
Everyone.
Yes, I thought that was quite interesting. That's
What is it?
Potentially what we could have on earth, that we could just
Yes.
need everybody. Mhm.
What Jesus does, right? I think that as your soul condition improves, you can do that anyway. You can see. So what does that bring up for you, that you're an open book to all the spirits around you?
Well, it's frightening when you know you've got wounds, like when you know you have holes, and you know, and that you don't know what those holes are, you know. So that becomes the work, you know, is finding those holes, and yeah.
I would, for me, what I'm feeling is I'm feeling fear that I am open to being manipulated.
Yeah.
I'm feeling fear that I'm open to being used, that I'm being damaged and harmed, and I'm feeling powerless. There you go. That's the word. So I'm feeling, and powerless is just a new emotion. I'm just beginning to get used to feeling it. So it's just making me feel powerless. And so I think that, and if I'm willing to feel that, then there's probably going to be creating protection right there. Because when you're willing to feel and release your fear, that already create, like there are times when I can feel the spirits, like right now, there's a lot of blackmail stuff going on right now with spirits. And when I start to, and I'm scrambling to find the emotion I need to process. I don't even know if I'm doing it right, but at some point I start to feel as if the spirits around me are like going, where did you go? Where did you go? Why can't I get it anymore? I can't, they're trying to grab at me, and it's like they're going through air. Suddenly they can't find me. So I've seen evidence of me being in some kind of emotion, and I was out of reach, just like that. And I wasn't even necessarily properly in an emotion. I was still trying to figure out what I need to be in. Maybe I found some fear. Maybe it was just my desire. I need to feel disapproval. Okay, let me try to find this disapproval. And somewhere in there, I'm out of reach of the spirits that mean to harm me. So, like for me, when I hear about this, I feel powerless. And it's making me just a tad angry. So, okay, there's some addiction to work through there. I'm angry that I'm powerless. That's what I'm really feeling. So I'm gonna have to work through that first.
Well, plus they end up knowing more about you than you know about you.
Exactly.
They manipulate you. So that shows you how important it is for us to, like in my case, not be afraid of discovering the good, the bad, and the ugly of myself, you know.
Exactly. Coming to terms with our soul condition as we really are is a very, very powerful thing to do for ourselves, because then it can be used against us. Or it can be, but you're not afraid to feel it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, where another prayer comes in for me, is when I recognize that I'm, you know, there's something that I'm not seeing, or there's some feeling that I'm not connecting to. The prayer is to really call my guides to help to give me clarity.
Oh, that's a good one.
On what this resistance is that I have.
Perfect.
What this piece is that I'm not seeing.
Okay, that's a really good prayer. Help me see. Help me have clarity.
Yeah.
You can even pray for courage, and you can actually feel something enter you. You can pray, God, can I please have some courage here? And
right.
you will actually be given courage to process certain experiences. Wow. Okay, so now I think we're beginning to see how this is when you start to touch certain issues and you're looking at what you really feel about something. Now the prayers are shooting out of us. We're probably praying more than we think, you know, but that's a good way to trigger prayer right there, because we're naming what we really feel about certain situation. We're in our honest emotion about it.
Can I ask just one question? Because I feel like I pray like, I don't know what's wrong with me, but can you help me with it? Is that really not a very good prayer? That's I'm not being specific or taking responsibility. It's vague.
Sentence again. I don't know what's wrong.
Why I'm so upset. Can you help me?
But what do you want to help me with?
Yeah, just not feeling good about myself.
Okay, so what is it you want?
Well, it's like emotional pain that I would be going through.
Okay, so I don't feel very good about myself right now. Please help me what?
Understand why.
Okay. if you want help to understand why, I think sometimes you're basically saying, please ramp up the law of attraction because then I'll understand.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard about it somewhere in some new age philosophy. I was like, okay, you can pray. Well, you're already having a prayer. You're already saying, I'm not feeling good about myself, and please get me out of here. It's probably what's already coming out of you.
Yeah.
So you
It
could,
kind of feels like you're trying to avoid the emotion, like you kind of don't want to feel that, because if you're just humble to it, you just feel it, and then you just,
or you
you know,
can,
it's tough, but you're kind of like, why am I feeling this way? It's kind of like
yeah.
trying to take you out of it.
Just feel that way.
Or you can talk about how much you don't like, how painful that is. Like when I'm feeling about disapproval right now, what I'm saying is, God, this really sucks. It really hurts. Like Jesus said, talk to God, and I literally do it. Literally will say, here's what I'm feeling. This is very painful. I really don't want to do it. It feels unbearable. Like I start to have a dialogue. So in that dialogue, something starts to happen. So maybe that, so if you expand on that, open up that sentence of, I feel really bad about myself right now. Please help me. Oh.
Well, I want to feel it, but not beat myself up over it. And I think that's the part that I get confused at.
Let's start with the fact that you don't want to. Because
Okay.
you have to agree with what you are doing. Right now, I don't want to feel how bad I feel about myself. This is where I'm at, God. Why don't I want to feel this? And then you start to feel the blocks. And then you go, oh, the blocks doesn't even make sense anymore. That was 20 years ago. Why am I still there? And start to go. But right now, what you are doing is you don't want to feel it.
Yeah.
So then just,
Or is it like when you say you don't feel like you feel bad about yourself, is it like a feeling like a self-blame or judgment or things, or it's just a grief of how
It's like
terrible you
judgment. It's like no one likes you. Like today I felt like I don't go on there. No one likes you. You don't have it, you know, and I know that's
spirits.
You
That's
know,
spirits.
that's what?
Spirits. Spirits.
Feel it? Oh, spirits.
Yeah, that type of thing. I feel you could pray to know why you feel that way.
Yeah, I was going to say that because the principle of desire works that even if you don't want to feel it, like the emotion, you could ask, why don't I want to feel it? And then it will get you sort of out of the stagnant place and then open you up to the possibility of receiving the truth, or, you know, feeling why you don't want to feel that emotion.
Sorry, Michael's being raised.
I can see.
It's pretty amazing how the desire works. Hey, it happened the other day and I just went, God, and then I just felt this massive thing and I was in tears instantly, and I don't think I even really said much.
No, I'm going to let Michael go first. He's been waiting a while. Sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, Michael.
That's fine, Laura. I thought of Judith. I thought of three things. One is like the spirits. So you could ask, why are you susceptible to projections from other beings? That's it. Could also be self-punishment. So you could be doing it to yourself, but primarily it could be like compensation for a sin. It's the immediate effect of sinning against the law of love, or having a false belief or feeling. So that's like probably foundational.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. Those are good answers right there. Good prayers.
Also, we can use attack or self-judgment as a way to avoid feeling what the real feeling is.
Yeah.
And sometimes you taught that by your parents as a way to avoid emotion. So yeah, it's important to distinguish if you're in because they're a blocking emotion, if it's like a self-blame or judgment, or whether it's an actual grief.
So it'd be like, what are the emotions I'm trying not to feel? Would be a good prayer. Help in identifying the emotions I'm trying not to feel by judging the emotions.
That's right. I feel like there's something more here. I just need a couple of hours to feel about it, Judith, and then maybe I'll send you an email about a couple of things coming. I'm just looking at time going, oh, I can't even go into that. And then maybe it's something that isn't appropriate, like it's something that we can talk about, but not in the book club.
Not in this group, yeah.
Yeah, but I feel like you say something that's like, whoa, there's an hour-long conversation right there to open it up and then be able to examine. But the prayer, I see the prayer now that, yeah, I need to first understand what's going on and then be able to take it further. All right, wow. Okay, so chapter 9 coming up next week, and we'll take it from there. But I'm encouraging us to maybe, as we study this book, to start to continue to explore what prayers are and how we can engage it more. It's kind of fun to share some of our prayers. Every time I see a child, I will pray for God to give the child love, because the children are open to receiving it, and you can see the children immediately respond. They feel something happen. Some of them will stop and stare at me. Just stare at me. And I don't even use words to say my prayer. It's just an automatic wish. And then the kid will just stop and stare at me as if I'm like a candy or something. Like, what just happened? I love you. It's like, wow, something happened. So this is some of my favorite prayers, but maybe we can start to share those with each other.
Awesome.
Okay.
Fun experiment.
Sorry, go ahead, Kevin.
I was just going to say thanks very much, everybody. I always like these conversations. I'm learning a lot, and it's nice to share. So awesome.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Everyone.
Next week.
Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Everyone.
See ya.
See you next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.